Is Brad Garlinghouse sending the XRP community a secret message here on X because of the spot ETFs? We're going to explore this post by Anders X and of course what Brad Garlinghouse said. There's also some additional information coming out, possibly BlackRock being interested in a spot XRP ETF. We're going to explore those rumors in this video and give you a ton of context. Let's just jump right in here with Anders X. It's finally happening. Brad Garlinghouse posted on X after the first pure spot XRP ETF had launched, which ended up having the most volume out of any ETF in 2025. There was over 900 ETFs launched in 2025. XRP is number one. So I'd imagine there's only a month and a half left in the year. We might have the top spot for the entire year. I don't know if that's any kind of trophy or award, but at least that is bragging rights for the XRP community. We did show up in mass volume. So thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. It says, I don't think Brad wrote that by accident. In my opinion, we're entering a new era. An era of large-scale institutional adoption of XRP and other crypto assets. Stars are aligning, to say the least. A lot of things are happening once. Stars are aligning, to say the least. A lot of things are happening at once, which I visualize in a graphic below, which is great. I'm going to show you in just a second here. First spot XRP ETF launched on November 13th, which became the ETF launch of the year in 2025 with the highest volume so far out of 900. ISO 20022 Swift migration is finalized on November 22nd. I've given you my opinion on this. This is just a date that all of these institutions will be using the new ISO standard. A lot of payments are already being sent with ISO right now. I still think you need regs in the United States, regulations, before institutions start heavily using crypto in their payment schemes. But I do think that stablecoin Clarity is helping to hammer some of that Swift volume. The Clarity Act will hopefully be voted on by the Senate and signed by the president before the end of the year. Now, we've seen this push back a few times. We heard that it might be done in September, then it was October, then it was maybe before Thanksgiving. Now, hopefully it's maybe before the end of the year. I think we really need to sit down and focus on this, get whoever we need to in a room and finalize this. We don't want to let this go into 2026. The market needs a boost, and this could be that boost. A couple of XRPL amendments have been activated recently, which are important for institutions to be able to utilize the XRP ledger, such as credentials and multi-purpose tokens. We've covered that a lot on this channel. You guys should have a very good understanding of what all of that does. Other amendments relating to the DEX are being able to be used by institutions such as permission domains and permission DEXs will hopefully be voted on soon. This will allow any institution to kind of come in and build on the XRP ledger and run all of their institutional flows on it if that's what they choose to do. Evernorth will accelerate institutional adoption of XRP by deploying a 1 billion regulated treasury offering compliant liquidity on yield via DeFi and running enterprise grade validators to ensure reliability for banks and funds. So this is, I think, another way for Ripple to have, or people that are higher up in Ripple to have a larger voice for XRP amendments. Obviously, when you see them starting to run validators, if they're the ones that vote on proposals, that would give them more sway in the community, which is that a good thing? Is it a bad thing? I'll let you decide that, guys. And then with all of this happening at once, the future is very exciting. For the first time, institutions will be able to enter at scale. And here is this thing that he put together. It is a lot to look at. So let's go left to right here so really understand what we're talking about here. On the left, says the Clarity Act gives the CFTC sole oversight of the decentralized crypto assets like XRP, removing the SEC overlap, lets institutions register with the CFTC to trade, custody, and launch crypto products. That is the biggest thing that can affect the markets right now. The Clarity Act, 100% here in the United States. And it says status, the Clarity Act has passed the House in July 17, 2025, but no vote in the Senate as of yet. We don't know if the Senate is going to try to change or do anything to the bill. We hope that it stays the same. That way it can go to the president's desk. If the Senate decides to start changing the bill, it would have to head back to the House before it reaches the president's desk. And then, of course, Bob Wade did chime in here. The reason this 20022 transition is extremely helpful to Ripple's bank sales team is it means that every bank is required to implement new technology. So all of this outdated technology around the world, all of these financial institutions are forced to upgrade to this new standard. That does bode well for Ripple. Remember, RippleNet is the ISO compliant feature here. And of course, XRP can be used inside of RippleNet and of course, on-demand liquidity. And then Bob Boyce also said, that being said, bank software sales is still hard to process, especially with the SEC suit still adding FUD to the process. But even if banks wait for a settlement, their ISO 20022 upgraded system become much easier for Ripple to integrate with those banks. So once they're on this new standard, it's even easier for Ripple to come in and offer their solutions. When a bank's trying to upgrade or update their technology, this is a process that could take banks 6, 12, 18 months or longer. It's very complicated. Ripple can go in there within a few weeks or a few months and offer their technologies and really get that bank up to speed. And I think that's where the true power lies. And of course, ISO 20022 integration makes it a lot easier for easier to implement Ripple software for banks. We talked about that. And then of course, member of ISO 20022 registration management group since May of 2020. So Ripple was kind of in there helping to set all the policy and stuff. And then down here, creates controlled domains. They're talking about permission domains and permission dexes. This is the new amendments. So you have permission domains, you have permission dexes, you have credentials and multi-purpose tokens. Let's just learn a little bit about this really quickly. So permission domains, what that's going to allow you to do is create controlled domains to restrict access to verified entities, enabling banks to build private hybrid dexes. So if a bank wants to have a private network, this would allow them to do that. And then lending protocols while complying with regulations. Remember, Ripple has all of this stuff baked into the XRP ledger. And of course, anything that Ripple does, this allows institutions to come in, get set up, and go very, very quickly. And then of course, Amendment 4 Permission Dex supports gated order books where only credentialed wallets trade, letting institutions run compliant on-chain trading without side chains. And then, of course, credentials will enable privacy-preserving on-chain KYC and AML verification compliant with W3C standards, which is the internet, allowing institutions to verify users without exposing data, crucial for regulated cross-border settlements and tokenized assets. And of course, multi-purpose tokens, which is already approved with credentials, allows customizable tokens for institutional DeFi. The example here is real-world assets or lending, with features like clawback for risk management, facilitating easier issuance and management for compliant digital assets. Last but not least, these amendments collectively tackle institutional hesitations. Overall, they reduce integration complexity, fewer custom builds, lower compliance costs, and native support for TradeFi standards, potentially accelerating XRPL's use in tokenized finance, projected to reach trillions of dollars in value. And here's what Evernorth is doing here. I'm not going to read all this because I think we've covered Evernorth pretty well on the channel. If you want to go ahead and pause it here, please do so. And then here are the spot ETFs. We know that Canary just launched. We're waiting for Franklin Templeton, Wisdom Tree as well. These two are massive. Of course, Bitwise, 21 shares, CoinShares, all of this is looking pretty juicy. And Brad Garlinghouse did tweet this out. It's finally happening in the parentheses there. Really, really getting excited here to see XRP's volume on that first day. Remember, once you get all of these institutions, and if you start timing these flows by 5 or 10, you can see a massive amount of money starting to head in here. So here's a great clip from Eleanor Tarrant and her team over at Crypto America talking about the spot XRP ETF. Let's go ahead and play it and see what's going on here.
Joining us now, we have some big news, right? This XRP ETF has kind of
some news. Yeah.
Gone parabolic, as they say.
Okay, I like that.
Thursday debut on the NASDAQ. I mean, Canary Capital's XRPC, the first pure play XRP spot ETF on Wall Street. And I say that because there is sort of a difference between, and we can kind of get into this with Steve, but basically it's the only spot ETF that has all XRP in it, not sort of a mix of XRP with sort of other things in there. Posted the biggest launch of the year with the largest day one trading volume for any ETF in 2025 at 59 million. It narrowly surpassed Bitwise's 57 million debut for its BSOL ETF last month, which had the top spot among 900 ETFs that launched so far this year. So let's bring in Canary Capital CEO, Steve McClurg. Welcome, Steve.
Hey, Ellie. Hey, Gerald. How you doing?
Good.
Fantastic. How are you?
Happy Friday.
How's your Friday? How's the ETF doing today? I know yesterday was a bit of a whirlwind for you, I'm sure.
I don't know. I just woke up. No, just kidding. Yesterday we were out pretty late. It was,
they're partying.
Processing that kind of volume takes a pretty Herculean effort. We were expecting it, but we didn't expect it the way it did, especially on a down market day. It seemed like we had a lot of forces running against us, but it still worked out.
All right, they weren't partying, they were updating some stuff here. All right, there's a full interview. It's about an hour long. I'm not going to play that for you guys. If you're interested, though, you can come back here. Just search XRP ETF record launch, and it'll come up for you. Now, I thought this was interesting. Digital Perspective, Brad Kimes would say, oh, BlackRock's Bitcoin ETF first day got crushed by Canary Capital's XRP ETF first day. So here is BlackRock's Bitcoin ETF, 111 million, and Canary Capital's 245 million. That is pretty juicy. And then, of course, he says, credit to find of Baron of Beach Street. Let's go ahead and follow him, give him some support. AK the Legend, give him a follow. Prepare for maximum XRP FUD from the Bitcoin and Maxi camp. So, FUD it or not, guys, you cannot deny that XRP is going to be shining like a bright star. And, you can have your favorites in the crypto space. You should have, a few favorites here because I think a lot of this technology will be adopted and used. Obviously, the time frame and how long that's going to take is up in the air. Nobody could really tell you, which I know kind of sucks, but you start to wonder, when will BlackRock get enough pressure from their customer base to offer an XRP product? That is the biggest question right now. And that is one of the things that forced them to do it. I'm going to give you some other ways that BlackRock would be pressured into doing this. Let me play this first.
How about an XRP ETF? I know you got Ether out there. How about XRP? Can you answer that?
I can't. And you don't want me to.
I do.
Well, I can't.
All right. They're giving me the rap.
Okay, you don't want me to. So he's always been a very opposed to the XRP ledger. Brad Garlinghouse Ripple. Charles Gasparino has never been a friend to the XRP community. I have reported on this a bunch of different times. So when he says that, I'm starting to think like, hey, you really don't want me to tell you what our plans here for XRP. That's just what I got from the conversation. You could also say that, Larry Fink here says, probably doesn't want to say anything because maybe there is nothing to say and he doesn't want to the market or whatever. It could go either way, guys, but let me know what you think down below. Is BlackRock going to file? Is it now? Is it later? What do you think? I'd really love to see some of those responses. And then, so I wanted to understand, why did BlackRock launch a Bitcoin spot ETF? Like what empowered, why did they do that? So BlackRock publicly stated several reasons for pursuing and supporting the approval of a spot Bitcoin ETF, combining both customer demand and broader strategic goals. There it is, customer demand. It always goes to customer demand. If you are at any brokerage right now and your brokerage is not offering a spot XRP product, it is on you to pick up the phone, call them and say, when are you going to have these products? I am interested in these products. You have so much power, but you have to use that power. Send an email, pick up the phone, whatever it is, however you communicate, do it, because it'll help the broader adoption of this asset. And if XRP goes up, we are all winning. All right. This is like how you can do your part, right? Showing up, learning, growing, sharing ideas, as well as taking action. I think you guys can do that really well. CEO Larry Fink specifically highlighted the aim to democratize access to Bitcoin, making it an investment in crypto assets cheaper, easier for all investors, not just institutions or crypto native participants. Fink mentioned the expensive transaction cost of operational hurdles for average investors wanting exposure to Bitcoin with regulated ETF. This regulated ETF world would address by creating more accessible, lower cost investment vehicles. And of course, day two, Canary Capital did 26 million. So we had this 57 million, 26 million. We're just under 80 million here, give or take a few dollars. Maybe we're a little over here. 50, 25, we might be really close. So we are seeing at 84,690,000 in 2 days. One spot ETF. You imagine 10 times this, right? That could be pretty juicy. That could be pretty cool. And then here's Nate Garossi saying, this week's ETF buzz. Here you go. Current ETF investors in pink, asset classes they expect to invest in through ETFs over the year. And then yellow is first time ETF investors. And so this is what institutions have a problem with right now. Younger investors are more interested in the crypto market. They connect with it. They understand it, right? And so institutions are like, how can we get these young investors to start investing in the products that we have, offer it to them, right? And you're seeing an explosion of people getting into this: equity ETFs, crypto ETPs, commodity ETPs, and bond ETPs. A lot of new business coming in. I think that's going to be super impactful. And Chad Steingraber says the biggest phase in all of crypto is coming. Nobody can stop it, but not everybody will make it, right? And so got to understand the market goes up and it can go down a lot very quickly. Getting through all of that, taking the emotion out, that is going to be your biggest challenge in the days ahead. Don't mess this up. This is once in a lifetime. I will see you next time. I'm Crypto Sensei. Peace.